What is up, everybody? Welcome back to On Point Politics, and today we're going to be talking about why Donald Trump is poised to win the 2024 presidential election. Now, before we get started with the video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, make sure to hit that post notification bell so you don't miss another video that I post, and make sure to also follow the Twitter and join our Discord in the description down below so you can check out our community discourse. And without further ado, let's get right into this. And so pretty much for the issues, right? The three big issues this cycle is immigration, economy, and foreign affairs. You know, people say, oh my God, abortion's going to affect Trump, but not necessarily, because Biden and Trump are almost tied on abortion nationwide in many polls. But the number one issue this cycle is going to be immigration 100%. Hey guys, I really hate to cut you off right here, but I'm very excited to announce that we have the first sponsorship of the channel as of today, and we're going to let the clip roll right now. In 2022, Americans lost $10.3 billion to online crime. Data brokers sell your information to scammers, spammers, and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, email, home address, health records, your relatives, it's all out there. That's why I've been using Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it protects me from hackers who could use this information to help them access my social media accounts, bank accounts, or other sensitive information. Aura also does so much more to protect me from online threats I can't see. They offer features like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without having to download several different apps. It's really easy to set up, and best of all, I get everything at one affordable price. Only for $12 a month, you can get the best protection in the market. You may already have one or two of these tools already, but not having Aura is like locking the front door and leaving the back door wide open. Aura is always on, doing the hard work of keeping me safe so I can focus on other tasks with peace of mind. I value my privacy and I value yours as well. You can go to aura.com/onpointpolitics to start your 2-week free trial, which you can cancel at any time, which is linked in the description down below. It is polling between 35 to like 40 something percent in a lot of new recent polls, polling all the issues. And right now, approximately 13 million illegal immigrants have entered the United States, which is going to be a horrible look for the incumbent president. I believe that it's not a good look for him at all. This is causing a lot of crime spikes in a lot of Democratic held areas. Also, on top of that, places like New York and things like that, you know, schools are being emptied out and are becoming shelters for illegal immigrants while denying certain, people there, people who are already living there, education. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. The economy not looking good. They try to say it looks good on paper, but the problem with that is that if you look at the unemployment rate, it's down, but that's because people have to be taking 2 or 3 jobs sometimes to actually even maintain themselves. And so really there is an illusion with how low it actually is. It's probably a lot higher than 3%. It's probably sitting at around, I'd say maybe 8 or 9, which is relatively pretty high. Foreign affairs is not looking good either. With the Afghanistan pullout, Ukraine and Russia, Israel and Hamas. These are all things that wouldn't have happened under President Biden. President Biden has not shown decisive leadership, because what happens is that, with the Ukraine thing, we all know what's going on with that and the reason why, he's getting his payments. He's paying Zelensky. We all know this. But for like Israel and Hamas, he's not picking a side. So he's actually pissing off both people. Like, he's trying to appease both. So he actually makes both sides mad. And that's why it's such a polarizing issue for him, because both sides of the spectrum on the argument, they don't like him for either response. And so with that 3 combined, and inflation not matching wages, so that's getting out of hand. And the only reason why the stock market looks good right now is because the stock market's actually expecting President Trump to win re-election, which is why it's actually maintaining at a pretty consistent rate right now. And so if you look at the national polls, right, versus the real results. 2016, Hillary Clinton was polling at 46.8%. Trump was at 43.6%. Trump ended up getting 3 points higher than that, and Hillary Clinton only got 2 more points than that. So the lead was, instead of 3.2, it was only a 2.1 Democratic national environment, and she lost the presidential election by approximately 90,000 votes nationwide between Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. In 2020, you could see Biden was polling at 51.2%. 41%, while Trump was at 44%, which was a 7.2 lead in the national popular vote. However, if you look at the real result, Biden got 51.4%, while Trump almost cracked 47% in the national popular vote. So the polls actually underestimated him here even more than they did in 2016. So you already see the fact that Biden has a much bigger discrepancy in the polls than Clinton did. And now Biden's the incumbent president. On election day, his approval rating was like what? I think it was at 52%. Now it's sitting right at about 40 according to RCP. It is sitting at a minus 15.7% approval, which back then I think it was like plus 6. So there is a basically 20-point difference between what he was at before and what he is at now. Trump fell down to 38% on January 6th. He is sitting at 42% and only has a net minus 10% approval rating. This is the first election cycle he goes into the race with a higher favorable than his opponent. Both times he's gotten in with a favorable lower than his opponent, and he's either won or almost won. And in 2020, he really only lost by 43,000 votes. If you look at Arizona, Georgia, and Wisconsin, when you combine the votes, Biden only won by 43,000 votes. And so as of right now, these are the polling averages in the swing states. You can see Wisconsin, Trump's up by 1.2%. Michigan, Trump's up by 4%. And Pennsylvania, Trump's up by 0.5%. Georgia, he's up by 5 points. Arizona, he's up by 5.4%, a state he barely won. Nevada, he's up by 4 points. Minnesota, Biden's up by 3. And New Hampshire, the only state where he's outperforming his 2020 performance in the polling right now, Biden's up by 8 percentage points. That's probably due to a lot of college, educated voters, as well as a lot of white suburban women trending towards the Democrats, and the fact that New Hampshire is relatively a pretty liberal state. But if you look at this, in Wisconsin, Biden won it by a tilt margin. The polls that day had it at Biden plus 8. He won it by a tilt margin. Trump's ahead in the polls by 1.2. So if you were to apply that same polling error, Trump wins the state by almost 10 points. If you look at Michigan, Biden won it by almost 3 points. He was ahead in the state by like 6 points and only won it by 2.8. Trump is up by 4. If you apply the polling error, he wins the state by 8 points. If you go to Pennsylvania, he won it by 1.2. He was leading in Pennsylvania, I believe, by like 6.4%. Trump's ahead by 0.5. Now, the average might change because of the new Susquehanna poll, which, by the way, it's not a stronghold for Biden. Let's talk elections. It's not a stronghold for Biden. Pennsylvania is not a stronghold for Biden. Biden, with everything going right for him, and he has a home advantage in the state, only won it by 1.2%, and a D+4 national environment. You got to understand the 2012 national environment and 2020, the popular vote margin was practically the same, but Biden won Pennsylvania by way less than Obama did. Obama won it by like 5.4. He won it by a fifth of that margin. In 2020, when everything was going right for him, when his approval rating was about 20 points higher than what it is right now. So how are you going to tell me that this is a stronghold for Biden? It's simply not a stronghold for him. The polls have also very underestimated Trump a lot of times there. I believe the polling error in Pennsylvania in 2016 was really bad. I think the polls had Clinton up there by like 8 or 9 on election day or something crazy like that. And so Pennsylvania, if you were to apply the polling error from 2020, he wins a state by 5 or 6 points. Georgia underestimated him, or actually overestimated him by 1.2%. He lost the state, and he was only up in the aggregate by 1. Now he's up by 5. So even if you were to apply that same polling error, he wins the state by like 3.5 points. Arizona, he's up by 5. Biden in 2020 was up in the state by 4%, and he barely won it by 0.31%. And now Trump's up in the state by 5. That gives the state to Trump by 10 points. Nevada, I believe in the polls, Nevada did actually overestimate Trump in RCP. But even if you were to shift the polls like 3.5 percentage points back to Biden, Trump would still win Nevada by a point. Minnesota, these states. Minnesota, I actually think is closer than Democrat plus 3. You also got to understand too, there is a very big third party vote share this cycle, which I don't understand why Alan Lichtman can't realize that. You know, in 2016, Gary Johnson was polling at 5%, and he said, well, there's a third party candidate in the race. But now RFK is polling at 15%, and he's saying, nah, not really this time. Like, come on, get out of here, bro. So pretty much, as of right now, my estimated projection is going to be Trump with 312 electoral college votes to Joe Biden's 226 electoral college votes. And you got to understand, really, it's down to immigration. That's going to be the number one issue that wins Trump the presidency. You're going to see that a lot of third-party votes are going to break support away from Biden, which is going to hurt him in the electoral college more than it is going to be Donald Trump. And you can see right now Trump is leading in all of the states that he lost in 2020 and all the states he won in 2016, including Nevada, which he has not won as of yet, but he probably will win it this cycle because you guys got to understand, in 2020, he won about 12% of the black vote. He's polling in the mid-20s in some polls. Nationally, Michigan, the CNN poll has Trump up by 8 points, and Biden's lead, according to the exit polls, had Biden up by 62 points with African-American voters. Now, Donald Trump is only losing them by 21 points. So it's a third of the support Biden had last cycle. So that's already a bad sign for Biden in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia. Those are states with a decent African-American population compared to Wisconsin, Arizona, and maybe not even Nevada. Maybe even Nevada actually helps him out there too. States like Arizona and Nevada, the Hispanic shifts are really going to help him there. And even places like Georgia, that might actually even help him too. And Trump gaining a little bit with with white, non-educated voters, that's going to help Trump in Wisconsin. And the polling averages in Wisconsin are always super off by a lot. They've always been off. So the fact Trump's even ahead in the aggregate is kind of insane. And he's consistently been building up to a lead. Before Biden was leading in the averages, not even by a lot, by the way. I think his biggest lead in Michigan the past year and a half, I think he was leading the aggregate by 2.5%, which if you were to apply a polling error, Trump would still be winning Michigan by 2 points. So even back then in 2023, he wasn't even really in that strong of a position compared to 2020. And so because of all that, I say right now Donald Trump is expected to win 312 electoral college votes to Biden's 226 electoral college votes. As of right now, you're going to see me switch the whole format of the video. We're going to switch over to the map, and we're going to discuss it right there. All right, so pretty much as of right now, guys, now we're transferring over to the electoral map. And so basically for the safe red states, I mean, all the states that Trump won in 2016 by over 20 points are basically all going to be safe. Kansas and South Carolina are going to move into that safe column, including Alaska is going to move, as well as Maine's 2nd congressional district, as well as the state of Iowa. Now for, Joe Biden, I guess Washington, California could stay there. Hawaii is going to be closer, but I think it will still be safe blue, but I think it will be closer. You got the Northeast over here with some of the states being under safe margins. And so that leaves, with Donald Trump in the likely states, Texas, Florida, North Carolina are easy victories. A lot of the polling misses, if you apply, if Trump is really winning the popular vote, a lot of these states are going to shift by multiple points in the other direction. Oregon, Colorado, Illinois, New York, I'd argue are probably likely states. Nebraska's first and Nebraska's at large are all still safe. However, Ohio, I'll probably say, is probably still like a 13-point win for Trump, maybe 12 points. Florida is around that same margin as well, in my opinion. New Mexico, Virginia, Maine's first, I think, is likely. I think Maine at large is a lot closer. I think it's lean Dem. Nebraska's second, I think, is tilt Democrat. And I also think that Minnesota's probably tilt Dem. Wisconsin, I'd say, is probably a likely state as of right now. Michigan is lean. Pennsylvania is lean. Maybe Wisconsin's lean in the lean column. Georgia's going to be likely. Arizona's going to be lean. Nevada's going to be lean. And New Hampshire's probably lean Democrat as of right now. So this is the map that I have right now for former President Trump. 312 electoral college votes to Joe Biden's 226. The other day, I did have Minnesota flipping. as well as Maine at large, including Nebraska second. However, I think I have been a little too bullish on Trump's chances in Minnesota just because the state has not gone Republican since 1972. And I think maybe Donald Trump might still fall short. However, he can get very close with a lot of third party support for President. Well, a lot of third party support that takes away votes from President Biden as of right now. And again, just like I said before, immigration is going to be a big issue. The economy is going to be a big issue. Foreign affairs, Biden's, has been overestimated in polling. Not necessarily overestimated, but Trump has always been underestimated in polling data, it seems like. The polls only underestimated Biden by 0.2, but they underestimated Trump by like almost 3 points. So clearly there's a big underestimation of Trump in polling data. Most of the time, there's a lot of third-party candidates. So, like 2016, it is going to give Trump a better chance to actually, get better margins in certain states. Like New York, he's probably going to only lose it by 12, 11. Illinois, I expect him to only lose it by like 7 or 8 points as of right now. And so this is basically a tied national popular vote. You could even say that this is actually him winning the popular vote by like a point or so. I think if Trump wins the popular vote by 2, I think Minnesota, Nebraska second, Maine at large, and like New Hampshire would basically all go red at that point. And so pretty much that's basically it for this video, guys. So you guys did enjoy the video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that post notification so you don't miss another video that I post, and make sure to follow the Twitter in the description down below, as well as joining our Discord server so you don't miss another video that I post. And I hope to see you guys very, very soon.